Let's transition to a matchup on Monday Night Football between the Detroit Lions and the Baltimore Ravens. It's the 1-1 Detroit Lions traveling to Baltimore to take on the 1-1 Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are favored by 5.5 points. It's an 8:20 p.m. kickoff. The over-under for this matchup is 51.5 points. Let's start off with the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions, in week 1, they got blitzed by the Packers. They lost that game 27-13, but they had a great bounce-back performance against the Bears in week 2 in Detroit. It was a NFC North clash between the Bears and the Lions, and the Lions manhandled the Bears 52-21. And in that game, Jared Goff was balling. 23 for 28, 334 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, quarterback rating of 156. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, he had a great performance. 9 receptions, 115 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns. Williams, the other receiver for the Lions, he had 2 receptions, 108 receiving yards, 1 touchdown. And so I thought the Lions, they played great in week 2 compared to what they did in week 1. And Jared Goff specifically, I thought against the Bears, Jared Goff played sensational. He really, really did. Against the Packers, though, he struggled in week 1. And remember, coming into the season, the Lions, they have 2 coordinators offensively and defensively. They lost offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. He's the new head coach in Chicago. And they also lost defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn. He is the Jets head coach in New York. And I thought against the Bears in week 2, the Lions, they wanted to send a message to Ben Johnson. They wanted to send a message to Ben Johnson. Hey, you left us. You went to Chicago. The grass ain't always greener on the other side. And I thought that they did a tremendous job offensively. I mean, in that game against the Bears, they had their way in that game. In that matchup against the Bears, this were the Lions' offensive numbers. They had 25 first downs. They had 177 rushing yards, 334 passing yards. They had over 500 total yards of offense. And in the first half, they had 28 points. In the second half, they had 24 points. And they boat raced the Bears. But again, I think that overall, when I look at the Detroit Lions, I think offensively, they have one of the best offenses in the NFL. Now, it didn't look that way against the Packers in week 1, but the Packers have a top 5 defense in the NFL. Look at what they did last week against Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. So I think the Lions are not as bad as they were in week 1 against the Packers, but they may not be as great as they were week 2 against the Bears. I think they are somewhere in the middle, but I do believe the Lions are a really, really good football team. Obviously, offensively at quarterback, you got Jared Goff, okay? In that Lions backfield, you got one of the best tandems at the running back position with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, okay? At receiver, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown. You got Jamison Williams. You got Sam Laporta at tight end as well. I think Sam Laporta, along with Tucker Kraft, who's a tight end for the Packers, I think Laporta and Kraft are 2 of the most dynamic young tight ends we have in the NFL. Okay? And I love the Lions' offensive line. I think the Lions have one of the best O-lines in pro football. At center, you got Graham Glasgow. Okay? At right tackle, you got Penei Sewell. All right? At left tackle, you got Taylor Decker as well. So I think the Lions are significantly better than how they performed week 1 against the Packers. But because they lost Ben Johnson as their offensive coordinator and lost Aaron Glenn as their defensive coordinator, I do believe they took a step back, but I still think the Lions are a playoff team in the NFC, and I believe that they are in that second tier of teams right now in the NFC. I think right now it's the Packers and the Eagles who are the top tier teams in the NFC, but I think the Lions are a tier below with the Commanders, with the Rams, and the Buccaneers. Now, defensively, the Lions, they got manhandled by the Packers in week 1, but I thought they did a pretty good job week 2 against Caleb Williams and the Bears. Against the Bears, that Lions defense, they only gave up 19 first downs. They held the Bears to under 350 total yards of offense, and they had 4 sacks against the Bears. And so I thought that was key. And one of the keys for the Lions is going to be Aiden Hutchinson. Because I believe when you talk about best pass rushers in the NFL, I think about Micah Parsons with the Packers. I think about TJ Watt with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think about Myles Garrett with the Cleveland Browns. I believe when healthy, Aiden Hutchinson deserves to be in that conversation. And he was missing last year because he had the broken fibula injury and he was out for the year with the Detroit Lions, and he is their best defensive player. Aiden Hutchinson is the Detroit Lions' best defensive player. So in order for the Lions to be true contenders, not only just in the NFC North, but in the entire NFC, they need Aiden Hutchinson to be close to as 100% healthy as possible. That's exactly what they need. Now, defensively, you still got DJ Reader, okay? You still got Marcus Davenport as well in that linebacker room. You still got Alex Anzalone. You still got Jack Campbell in that secondary for the Lions. You got Terrion Arnold. You got Brian Branch, okay? You got DJ Reed as well. So I really, really like this Lions defense. I think the strength of their team is their offense, though. That's the strength of their team, and that's how they're going to be able to beat teams once we get into December and January. It's not going to be because of their defense. It's going to be because of their elite offense. Now, let's transition and talk about the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, week 1, the Ravens, they lost in a shootout against the Buffalo Bills, 41-40, but the offense was rolling in that game. And I thought Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson both balled out against the Bills despite losing that game. In that game against the Bills, here's Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry's numbers. Lamar Jackson, he went 14 of 19. He threw for 209 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry, 18 carries, 169 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. He averaged 9 yards per carry. Despite the fumble late in that game, Derrick Henry was balling against the Bills in week 1. And Zay Flowers also had a great performance against the Bills in week 1. Zay Flowers, 7 receptions, 143 receiving yards, 1 touchdown. I thought the Ravens had a great bounce back performance against the Browns in week 2. And in that game, Lamar Jackson, he went 19 for 29, 225 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. And so I thought Lamar Jackson in week 2 against the Browns, it wasn't Lamar Jackson using his mobility. It was him in the pocket and throwing from the pocket and being an elite passer that killed the Browns in that game. And I thought, and overall, I feel like Lamar Jackson has really, really improved as a passer over the last 2 years. You look at Lamar Jackson, last year, Lamar Jackson had 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 4,172 passing yards last year. And I thought Lamar Jackson got robbed and should have been the NFL MVP last year. Now, I had no issue with the NFL giving NFL MVP to Josh Allen. But to me, I feel as if Lamar Jackson should have won NFL MVP last year. And the NFL, they have people that vote on these awards. And I thought Lamar Jackson easily could have won NFL MVP last year. But what's funny is Lamar won NFL MVP in 2023. And that season, I felt as if someone else deserved to win NFL MVP. And so it's just funny how this works out. But Lamar Jackson has really improved as a pocket passer over the last 2 years. And the one thing about Lamar Jackson to keep in mind as we head into this Monday night matchup, Lamar Jackson versus NFC teams. He is 24-4 against NFC teams. He is 48 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and the last time he played against the Lions, Lamar, he went 21 for 27. He threw for 357 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and the Ravens dominated the Lions 38-6. And Lamar completed 77% of his passes in that matchup against the Lions. So him being 24-4 against NFC teams tells me this. When you have to go up against Lamar Jackson once every 4 years, it is hard to game plan for Lamar. Now, teams in the AFC like the Bills or in the AFC North like the Bengals, the Steelers, or the Browns, it's a little bit easier for those teams to game plan for Lamar because they face Lamar multiple times a season. And if you're in the AFC, you are playing against Lamar more often than NFC teams are. And so when he's going up against these teams like the Lions, the Packers, the Rams, Lamar is dominating his matchup against those NFC teams because they're not familiar with Lamar Jackson. And it's one thing to have a quarterback be a scout team quarterback who you go up against all week in preparation for Lamar Jackson. It's an entire different thing when you have to actually play against Lamar in these games. I'm it's night and day going up against the scout team quarterback. Just think about the Jets, right? Their backup quarterback is Tyrod Taylor, I believe. And their starting quarterback is Justin Fields. But even Justin Fields, he's no Lamar Jackson. And he's no Lamar Jackson. Tyrod Taylor, he's no Lamar Jackson. You cannot prepare for Lamar Jackson in practice. You cannot prepare for him. You have to see it in real time. And once you see him in real time and see how elusive he is, see how athletic he is, and see how fast he is on a football field, when you see it in real time, it's hard to adjust. It's hard to adjust. And that's why I believe Lamar has had so much success against NFC teams because they don't see him that often, and it's hard to prepare for him in practice the week prior to going up against the Ravens. And so, man, it's going to be a tremendous Monday night matchup between the Lions and the Ravens. But I believe that Lamar Jackson is playing better at the quarterback position slightly than Jared Goff is. I believe that Derrick Henry is a better running back than Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. And I believe that the Ravens are a slightly better football team than the Lions are right now. And they are at home in this game. So I'm rolling with the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson to beat Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. I'm going Ravens 30, Lions 23.